From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus. Today, a Springfield mayoral debate. And now, here's Ryan Walsh.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of 22 News in Focus. I'm Ryan Walsh. This Sunday, we have a Springfield mayoral debate. We have 4 candidates here running in the preliminary election this Tuesday, September 8th. Michael Jones, Sal Sarcosta, Evelise Gonzalez, and Beverly Savage. Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno has declined our invitation to participate in this debate due to scheduling conflicts. Johnny Ray McKnight could not make this debate due to health reasons. On Tuesday, the top 2 vote-getters will move on to the general election on November 3rd. I'd like to thank the candidates for coming to our studios to give our viewers a chance to hear where they stand on important issues. We'll begin with a 1-minute opening statement from each candidate, with the order being predetermined by a drawing. We have a lot of ground to cover, and I must ask the candidates to stick to your times. Mr. Sarcosta, we'll begin with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sal Sarcosta. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Springfield, and I see such potential for our city. But unfortunately, I also see a lack of authentic leadership. With that lack of leadership, we are failing in our schools, our public safety is little than undesirable, and our economic development is completely contingent on a casino. We have so much potential and options ahead of us, but what we lack is authentic leadership. As an officer in the U.S. Army and as a small business owner, I think and I am confident that I have the leadership necessary to take Springfield into that next generation and make Springfield great again. On November 3rd, I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, you have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Evelise Gonzalez, and I am running for mayor of Springfield. I don't know nothing about politics, to be honest with you, but my heart belongs to Springfield. I moved here in '86. I've been here in and out of the city. I have kids in here. I have worked with the education station as after-school programs, and the Division of Unemployment, you name it. I have been in the city for many, many years. Like Sal, I'm looking at the government that we have right now that we need to make them accountable and transparent. And that will be my issue, to make this city transparent and accountable for everything, including education, public safety, economic development.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Beverly Savage. I am running for mayor because of the city's economic mess. I also, to introduce myself a little bit further, I have a business degree. I've been a minister and am a minister and pastor for the last 24 years. It has helped me to evolve into the political arena, which I have been involved in behind the scenes for the last 20 years. The reason I am running for mayor is because this city, the leaders that we have currently have ignored the citizens' voice, whether it's economic development, educational prosperity, and the resources that I would bring into this city would see to the economic stability aside, as I say, from the extravagant project, the MGM casino. So I would like to press and forge forth to being this next city's mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, your opening statement.
Hello to all. My name is Michael Jones. I am running for mayor for this city because of the people need a voice and they need a representative who looks like them. We have been too long without any representation for the voices and the cries being heard throughout our neighborhoods. I have grown up here my whole entire life. I have volunteered everywhere amongst Springfield and rose up through the streets, through the ranks, through the crime, through the crying, and I feel your pain. And I'm here to give a face to the voice and let the people know that someone is here fighting with them. So I ask you please on September 8th to vote for one of us. Vote for Michael Jones for Springfield Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, and that completes our question and answer, or opening statements, that is. We now move into a question and answer session. This order was also determined by a drawing. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. We'll start with Mr. Jones. The question: Mayor Sarno chose not to participate in our preliminary debate. This is his 8th year in office, and the people in the city know him and what he stands for. Why should the voters choose you instead of Mayor Sarno?
The voters should choose me, Michael Jones, because I have experience being homeless. I have experience with going to school and having a hard time dealing with it. I have experience in the workforce. I have experience doing manager work. I have experience with security. I also have experience with community organizing. Right here, we always say that we need someone that represents the people, someone that speaks with the people. Well, I've always been a part of the people, and we have not seen any of the mayors that we've currently had in the past come out into the neighborhoods or into little local sections and pay attention to what's actually going on. They've always only showed up if there's a camera around. Well, Michael Jones is here in the streets, in the community centers, in the homeless shelters, eating with them, playing with them, and talking with them. But most importantly, I am always listening to them, because it is their ideas that are the ones that need to be heard, and we need to start paying attention to them.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, 1 minute.
The answer is leadership. Technically, with the mayor not being here and the mayor not being held accountable for his decisions, we need a new approach. We need something fresh, something energetic, something passionate. Right now with our mayor, we get excuses. We have problems with our crime, excuses. Problems in our school department, excuses. Problems with economic development, excuses. I'm tired of excuses. We need a mayor that has solutions, that is willing to be open to the public. A mayor who wants to see the people of Springfield, visit the businesses, visit the residents, visit our young people, the kids in schools. We need a mayor who is available, a mayor who is passionate, and a mayor with a vision.
Thank you. The same question to you, Ms. Gonzalez.
We need a mayor that is going to be here for you and work for you. I tell you, I am a community. I am your community. I will be there for you at any time, any day, even in my pajamas if I have to go and see what is going on. But you need somebody that is accountable, transparent, that will be there working day or night for you without any excuse. I will be looking at schools, I will be inside schools, I will be in your neighborhood, I will be there with you if we need to pick up where you left off. If you need trash pickup, I'll be there. I'll be there for you.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
Under the current administration, this city has been weakened with public safety, education, and economic development. With me as your mayor, I propose a whole myriad of bringing this community, bringing this city back to where it once was. There are even, when I just say the economic development part, you have city workers who have not received raises in 2 years, 3 years. They're promised to get raises and has not happened. This is done under this present administration by holding back inflation rate increases to these city workers is not right. And this is just the beginning. Just because you have not touched the reserves, you're managing the budget, but there are people all over our city suffering in every neighborhood. If you have not brought economic development for the people that you are elected to serve, we have a real issue and we have a real problem and we need real leadership that can get the job done.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta will begin answering our second question. Voters would like to know your credentials and what experience you have that prepares you to become the mayor of Springfield. What's your educational background and what do you do for a living?
I graduated from the High School of Commerce. I've been in public schools my entire life. After graduating commerce, I went to Providence College, where I earned my bachelor's degree in philosophy. While there, I was actually discerning a vocation to the priesthood, and I went on to St. John's Seminary in Boston. While there in completing my graduate studies, I also was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army in the Massachusetts Army National Guard. Serving our troops, their families, we learned different aspects of leadership, different aspects of how to take care of people and how to be held accountable to people. I also opened up Sal's Bakery and Cafe and was a small business owner right here in the city of Springfield at the X. My background is in business, education, leadership, and in the military.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, you have 1 minute.
I graduated in Puerto Rico, moved to the United States, went to STIC to take patient care assistant. After that, I went to Salter School of Business, which my major was in business. Then I was a program manager for education station and after school program on MCLB. I'm sorry, to help kids to pass the MCAS, to go around in life and learn how they can manage math and English. I was a business owner in Maryland when I lived there many years ago. I used to have my own daycare. I also worked for the Division of Unemployment as a job specialist there, either bilingual and expertise of unemployment office. I'm a mom, and under a mom, you have a lot of degrees under there.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
I have a business degree. I also, as I said earlier in the introduction, my husband and I have been ministers for the last 24 years. Most recently, pastors in Orlando, Florida, where we managed a $1.5 million budget with 5 other pastors. We have been mentors, ministers, and life coaches in prisons from Connecticut to Ludlow. We have had to come up with solutions, plans, and implementations for seniors, families, prisoners, all walks of life, with social issues and even economic issues. I have worked as a contractor. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I held executive administrative assistant for. It's funny when I think of MGM Casino, because I was the executive assistant to the general manager of Hard Rock Hotel, the most lucrative hotel in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you, Ms. Savage. Mr. Jones, you have 1 minute.
Hi, I graduated from Springfield Central High School in 1989. I have started working early on in life, started as a newspaper boy delivering newspapers to all the local residents. I literally became engulfed in working a lot for the city of Springfield. I've also worked with a lot of children such as Westover Job Corps. I've also volunteered as a Springfield school volunteer. I also was a volunteer for Springfield College as a radio DJ. My goal was to make sure that I'm involved in every aspect, so I became involved in all of the homeless shelters and working with the needy. My thing is, what I wanted to do was make sure that I was in touch with the people all the time. And so I made sure that all of the jobs that I worked at, that I rose to manager, rose to supervisor, and I took care of entire teams for corporations such as CNS and McDonald's.
Thank you. Our next question. A top concern of the residents in the city is violence, not just the murders, but the amount of violence that happens in the city. What is your answer to fix this problem, and how does your solution differ from how the city is already attacking this issue? Ms. Gonzalez, we'll begin with you.
Well, my point in this particular issue, we've been asked already many times. We have to start by restructuring our police department, give them the training extra they need, the tools to combating this crime. Also, we have to make the community more close to the police, and that will take time because the police have to earn back the trust of the community. That's one. 2, we need to do more neighborhood policing. We have to give them the tools so they can call, they can have police there present, not 2 hours later, but when they need it. We need to be alert, educate. We need to talk to our youngsters, see what is going on, what do they need, what do they want, what we can do to help them to stop this.
Thank you. The same question to you, Ms. Savage.
When it comes to crime in the city, it's horrific. I lived in Orlando, Florida for a little bit where there's 1 million people, and the same crime, just about the same stats is as it is in the small city in Springfield, Massachusetts. The landscape of the police authority in Springfield has to be reviewed. We have to look at the loopholes that are happening with the communication between the residents and citizens and the police authority, the law enforcers in our city. As well, we must develop programs to create for the juveniles in our city that they have a real plan of action to turn around their destructive behaviors. So I'm using the example of C3. I went to a meeting and I enjoyed it because I was watching the people give testimonies of significant change in their neighborhoods by residents taking actions in their own neighborhoods. Of course, we don't have enough time to explain how it's going to get done, but the matter is going to be addressed immediately and effectively.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you have 1 minute.
I believe that we need to go in deep inside the police department, make sure that we are having constant talks with how to deal with communicating to the public. We also need to remind the young rookies that's coming out of school how the area works, show them where the areas are. Teaching people to call the 311 and 911 numbers, having them go to more C3 meetings, getting them involved to tips, to text. We really need an active police force, active in the streets, active in every single community. We need to make sure that the police are patrolling and not sitting still, because this is a deterrent to any types of crimes that may go on. We also need to make sure that we constantly tell the citizens every day to call if you see any suspicious activity. It takes a restructuring of government to go into the police station and make sure that we have a clear line of communication between police and citizens, and we need to train both sides on how to deal with one another so that it's not confrontational.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta.
The current administration reacts to violence. My administration would prevent violence. There are three things that we can do in the city of Springfield as an administration to prevent some of the violence in the city. First is leadership. Have a civilian commission board rather than a police commissioner. Secondly, substations in your neighborhoods. The Springfield Police Department should have a structure in your neighborhood to build communication and to build community and to build safety. And the third is authentic community policing. C3 policing is a military tactic used in insurgencies to deal with enemy combatants. The people of Springfield are not enemy combatants. They're citizens with rights. My way of community policing is to put cops back in the streets, walking the beat, knowing the neighborhoods, knowing the people, and knowing the residents. With all that mixed in, you need to invest more in our youth to give them opportunity and dignity.
22 News will continue our Springfield mayoral debate leading up to the preliminary election on September 8th. You're watching a special edition of 22 News in Focus.
News in Focus. Today, a Springfield mayoral debate. And now, here's Ryan Walsh.
4 candidates who want to become Springfield's next mayor are here in our 22 News studios to discuss their plans and ideas of how to run Springfield. Sal Sarcosta, Evelise Gonzalez, Michael Jones, and Beverly Savage have joined us. We'll continue with our question and answer portion of this debate with this question. In 2018, Springfield will become a gambling city. What do you anticipate from MGM Springfield, and what are your concerns? Ms. Savage, we'll begin with you.
I expect from MGM casino executives that they keep the commitments, partnerships, and relationships that they said that they would do. Because my intention as mayor is to create an integrity board to measure the keeping of these promises, commitments, and relationships that they have forged with the businesses in the city of Springfield, with local colleges, with the, like I said, the small businesses. We need to know that what was promised to the citizens and residents will be in place, and that they will have a leader that will make sure these commitments will stay in place, because everything looks good in writing. But when it comes down to brass tacks, will the people of Springfield get what they were told that they were going to get? For instance, the 90% of the jobs will be given to Springfield residents and regional residents. I would love to know the finite details of that.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, what do you anticipate from MGM Springfield, and what are your concerns?
I am anticipating that MGM will be a major contribution to Springfield, Mass. As far as making sure that locals are working inside the casino, to make sure that the casino is distributing advertisement about Springfield throughout the world to help investors come in, to help visitors come into our city to spend their hard-earned dollars with our city and our citizens and small business. I'm hoping that MGM provides a good view and a good opening for local artists, local talent, local arts to come here to Springfield to get their talents shown. And as a catapult and as a vessel, I'm hoping that MGM, we will be able to make sure that we can be heard around the world and voice. And I'm hoping that MGM supports Springfield as far as the security, the police, and the needs of the people, and to make sure that certain areas or certain infrastructures that need to be invested in are invested in.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, you have 1 minute.
We have such amazing opportunity right now in the city of Springfield with an almost $1 billion investment. However, we don't have the proper leadership in place right now. We need a mayor who's objective, a mayor who's going to hold the casino accountable. During the taping of this program, the mayor is preparing to go to a fundraiser flocked by people from MGM, their contracted employees, and others. Look at his political contribution list, and you'll see lobbyists, you'll see benefactors, and other people in bed, in a sense, with MGM. We can't have this. This is intolerable in the city of Springfield. We need a mayor who's going to hold MGM accountable as they would hold anyone else accountable, because we are at a pivotal moment right now in the city of Springfield. An opportunity ahead of us for economic development, better public safety, and better education. And we need a mayor with true, authentic leadership.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
Right now, we all agree in that MGM has to be held accountable for all the offers that he did to us. We want them, those jobs that they promised to us. We want the city to become better and not to lose anything that we have. Small businesses, we don't want them to be lost. We want them to advertise for those small businesses, because the casino will bring all this marvelous stuff, but inside the casino there's little stores. We need the casino to use, MGM to use their power to advertise the whole city of Springfield, not just downtown or MGM. And besides that, they have to hold accountable for every little thing that they promised to us.
Thank you. Our next question. The mayor is also the head of the school committee. Springfield has several underperforming schools. Should the city encourage developing more charter schools? And what's your plan as mayor to improve the Springfield public school system? Mr. Jones, we'll begin with you.
As a graduate of Central High School, I believe in volunteering for schools and making sure that we are paying attention to our children. It is not their fault for the lack of support, for the lack of books, for the lack of tools. As mayor, I would always try to make sure that the budget shows accordingly what we need to give our kids the best education. Okay, we need a quality education. We need quality teachers. We need teachers that live here in Springfield and understand what our children are walking through and faced with every day. We need a superintendent that is more satisfied with more than just 50% graduation rate. We need all of our schools to be performing at an adequate level. And I want all of the kids to be able to have that choice of going to college or going directly into the workforce by having the means to be prepared for either.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, you have 1 minute.
The answer is accountability. Overall, the mayor needs to hold the superintendent accountable, the school department accountable. Right now, we have a school department that does not serve the schools serve the department. We need to reverse that. Our schools should be served by the department and by the superintendent. We need to reduce and petition and lobby for reduction of testing in schools. Our kids are over-tested. They have very little time to interact with teachers, interact with each other, and interact in sports, arts, and other things. And that's what else we need to improve on. Sports. arts, music, not just in high school, but in elementary and middle school. As our young people develop, they need to develop socially with also imagination, fantasy, things like this in order to be a well-developed, productive citizen one day in our city.
Ms. Gonzalez, should the city encourage developing more charter schools, and what's your plan as mayor to improve the public school system?
As Mayor of Springfield, I will give the tools to the teachers to be more liberal about what they teach the kids. Give them the choice of not just teach an MCAS for the kids. Teach what they really need to know. Give the teachers the tools so they can be liberal. They can teach them regular class that is not MCAS. We need more schools. Right now I just find out that Bansico was divided in two. I don't see why with the segregation. That's another thing that I will have to look into. But charter school, yes, they're great, but we need more school. We need our high school students. I was talking to some of them. They need vocation, so when they get out, they get a job. We need to look in what each school can offer to these kids. We need also to invest in our kids.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
Choices in education is always good, but not at the expense of what is happening in our Springfield public schools. I have proposals in place and ready to install with the collaboration of the school committee. One is an attendance initiative to combat truancy in the schools. Another is to create recreational opportunities. If we're bringing an innovative MGM casino to our city, we should be having construction all over our city for recreational opportunities for our children. And the parents should have great choices in educating their children. We should be modernizing our schools and renovating the ones that need to be renovated. This is our rights as citizens and residents. And I want to be the leader to be able to express that to the citizens and residents concerning this. Education is of utmost importance. The city children in Springfield must be able to compete in higher education and work on a work level to be even, let's just say if it's a high school student.
Thank you. Our next question. As the mayor, you are the city's top salesperson. Between the crime, violence, and underperforming schools we've discussed, how do you sell a young family on buying a home and moving to Springfield? Mr. Sarcosta, we'll begin with you.
Well, what Springfield needs to do is a better marketing plan for our city. Right now, we market on things like the city of homes and things like that, but there's a lot more to our city. Some outstanding. We have over 160,000 young professional students in the Knowledge Corridor, which expands from Hartford past Springfield. We have so many opportunities here in the city of Springfield. Homes, businesses that can be opened, and such unique historical entertainment right here in the city of Springfield. As the mayor needs to be in Boston. The mayor needs to be in Washington, D.C. to lobby and petition for funds. Mayor also needs to work with young professionals, have the energy and the passion and the love for the city of Springfield. I love Springfield. I love my home. I love my neighborhood. I love my city. We need a mayor who loves our city, who loves to tell everyone about our city and to invite people into our city.
Ms. Savage, Ms. Gonzalez, you have 1 minute.
I will talk to you about how Springfield is good to me. I love my city. This is my city. I'd be moving out and come back in. There must be something about Springfield. We have the Basketball Hall of Fame. We have, yes, crime. We do have crime. We have a casino that is going to be built. But we have to be honest. If we really look at statistics, there are other cities that our crime rate is even higher than our crime rate. It's not that it's good. Crime will exist, doesn't matter what. But we have to sell the beauty of Springfield. Everything Forest Park, 16 acres, anywhere in the city that is beautiful. South End, North End. Springfield is beautiful if you love it. This is the city of homes, and we have to be proud of that. Let's fix our streets. Let's fix these houses that are condemned. Get them down. Find the money. There's federal money. There is state money that we can use and do this, and we can sell our city ourselves.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, how do you sell a young family on buying a home and moving to Springfield?
I consider myself a good salesman, but I may not be able to sell a family to Springfield at the moment. When there's hurting neighborhoods, blight housing, one of the things in public safety, it's our responsibility as a city, as an official of the city, how would we retain families when we have not checked the public safety concern? Everywhere I've gone in this city, from the north, south, east, and west of the city, no matter what neighborhood I've been in, I ask my famous question, what would you like to see happen in your city? And it is crime. We have to get crime under control in order to retain families.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you have 1 minute.
As growing up as a constant promoter, I believe that we have within myself a true promotion that's passionate about Springfield, that wants to let everyone know what we have here in Springfield, such as our schools, such as our art, such as our museums, the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is worldwide. This is a world-class city. Michael Jones, as your mayor, will always promote the goodness that we have to offer, the goodness of communities, the goodness of families. I've never missed a day here in Springfield. I never left to go to the military. I never left to go to college. I stayed and planted my roots and worked here for the people, amongst the people, and for the people. And to bring families in and to allow them into our life, teach them the history of neighborhoods, teach them the secrets behind the streets. What everything means is giving them a clear understanding and a clear vision of what Springfield is all about. And this is how Mayor Michael Jones will retain new people and the people that we have to stay here in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Thank you. 22 News will continue our Springfield mayoral debate leading up to the preliminary election this Tuesday, September 8th. You're watching a special edition of 22 News in Focus.
From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus. Today, a Springfield mayoral debate. And now, here's Ryan Walsh.
4 candidates who want to become Springfield's next mayor are here in our 22 News studios to discuss their plans and ideas of how to run their city. Sal Sarcosta, Evelise Gonzalez, Michael Jones, and Beverly Savage have joined us. We'll continue our question and answer portion of this debate, and we'll begin with Ms. Gonzalez. 2 major businesses are coming to Springfield, MGM Springfield and CNR Changchung Railways. That should bring thousands of jobs along with it. Specifically, what incentives would you offer businesses to attract them or their jobs to Springfield?
Well, right now, I would like for those businesses to come here faster than what they actually are expected to be. We're expecting to have the casino in 2018, and the Chan Railroads, I don't know when they're even going to start. Right now, we need businesses now, jobs now. Incentive for people that bring new businesses into our community. One of the incentives is as many residents that you can get. We will talk about taxes, what tax breaks I can give you, what kind of land deal I can give you. Let's bring businesses to Springfield. Let's take our residents and put them in those businesses, not from here on 2018. We need them now.
Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
As the anticipation of your next mayor, being your next mayor, I want to start now. MGM is said that they will bring in $50 million of biddable goods annually. Small businesses, get yourselves in line to retrieve these contracts. It is imperative that we partner with our small businesses, which I believe they were not included in getting ready for the construction work that's going to go on with the MGM casino. So now is your time. We have till 2018. Get yourself in line. Start getting licenses if you're painters and you have a small mom and pop painting business, for instance. Become certified and get yourself in line to get on board to retrieve and bid for some of this money that's coming into our cities.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, what incentives would you offer businesses to attract them and their jobs to Springfield?
Well, as mayor of Springfield and as a Republican, I strongly support small businesses. I would offer tax breaks to those who are already in existing businesses to help them grow and expand their companies. Also, I would encourage them to hire Springfield residents and give them a tax break for bringing in a lot of people that want to work here from Springfield. I plan on holding seminars for small people, businesses that want to create new businesses and new jobs and help them get into areas that we need businesses at.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta.
When I opened up Sal's Bakery and Cafe back in 2012, 2013, I knew of the difficulties it is for a small business to open and to thrive in the city of Springfield. With crime issues, education issues, and economic development issues, sometimes it's hard for a business to have enough motivation and determination to build in the city of Springfield. The mayor needs to ensure that there is a graduated tax relief program installed in the city of Springfield so that new businesses are encouraged and they're given incentive to build in Springfield. We need to also combat this crime issue, the aggressive panhandling, our homeless issue, all these issues that sometimes turn away a customer from coming to Springfield. We need a mayor who understands what a business person needs, what a business person wants. I believe and I am confident that I am that man.
Thank you. In Springfield, there is an image issue that keeps people from other communities in Western Massachusetts from visiting. Is that perception a reality? And if so, how do you change it? Ms. Savage, we'll begin with you.
It is a reality in our city. I have talked to people, whether they're working people, stay-at-home moms, college students. One college student I spoke with said that when she goes to college in Boston, that they ask her, how many times have you been shot? See, this connotation that has been neglected in our city concerning crime, for years now, our current administration has been in place, and yet the crime persists. I say that we've been held hostage by bandits, and we need to put faces to these bandits. The crime issues, it is going to be aggressively, once again, addressed so that we can attract those families, so that we can attract more businesses to the city and their families to our city to provide a better economic development for the city.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you have 1 minute.
The image of our city is all about the positivity and the passion of our citizens. For hearing rumors from the outside is not actually accurate. Here in Springfield, Massachusetts, I've grown up on the streets. I've grew up throughout these communities. I've seen every type of thing that goes on here in Springfield. I've never been away from it, and I've never ducked from it. As a mayor, what we need on the streets and for the people is a general that knows these people, that knows their way of thinking, that knows their type. I've seen you before as I've walked through the streets of Springfield, but here as mayor, I will be in position to help out and help secure our city and promote a good image to everywhere in surrounding cities and encourage folks to come in, speak up, participate, get involved with your C3, get involved with your neighborhood watch, get involved with talking about the goods that Springfield has to offer.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, you have 1 minute.
The residents of Springfield, my neighbors, have become numb. We are numb to our reality of violence, our schools, and the lack of economic development in Springfield. We're numb. We see violence every day. Every night there seems to be a shooting, someone being stabbed, someone hurt, a child, a teenager, a young adult, somebody who was just in school maybe last year or a couple years ago, now shot down, dead. We have become numb in the city of Springfield. We need hope again. We need determination. We need leadership. Our image as a city is built on what reality is. So that reality of violence and of suffering and depression needs to be reversed so that the image of Springfield will be strong, positive, and determined in the future.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
As we all have agreed, there is some kind of reality, and it's all to the eye of the beholder. As if you will not stop going to Washington, D.C. and see the monuments, all because you find out that there's more than 103 deaths in the city. But as Washington, D.C. is a big capital. We also are a city, and we have to promote what we have and show that we are not that people that they say that we shoot everybody, or we kill somebody. Like Sal said, yes, we have become numb. Every day I look at Mass Life when there's something, and all they say is, oh, another one. No, we have to change that mentality. We have to help the other person. We have to talk. If we see things happening, call the police, call your neighbor, ask a neighborhood watch. Be there, be active to what is going on, and the issues will help themselves.
Thank you. Quality of life issues are another issue that we get complaints about here. Police can't be anywhere, but everything from panhandlers, illegal dumping, noise complaints, abandoned homes with people living in them, and poor snow removal are some of the issues we hear about here often. How do you plan to improve the quality of life in Springfield? And Mr. Jones, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
The quality of life here in Springfield can be explained in a couple of terms. The homeless, the panhandlers, the ones that are hanging out. What it is from a lack of support from our city to give these people a place that they can get help, a place that they can feel secure and feel confident they have someone on their side to help them. What we don't have here in Springfield is enough of these type of establishments, enough funding to really help out the people that are in the streets. My heart goes out to them for the ones that I've met in the playgrounds, the ones that I've met at the parks, telling me their stories. What we need to do is have interaction with these people to find out what it is that we can do to help them. In order to move them around, in order to get them the right shelter that they need, we need to provide the avenues and the information and to let them know that Springfield is here to support all citizens.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, you have 1 minute.
The foundation of this question is built on two philosophies. One is management, the other is leadership. We need to ask, is our mayor going to be a manager or a leader? Unfortunately, government employees sometimes get a bad reputation for not working as hard as they should or to the detail, but I see the opposite. Our workers in the DPW, our police officers, teachers, firemen and firewomen are incredible people with passion. What they lack is leadership. They lack that motivation to get the job done. They lack the morale that they need for the esprit de corps, to make sure that they feel wanted, that they're appreciated, that the mayor knows them and wants them to do the best they can. So in this election, we're looking at a manager versus a leader, and I hope to be that leader.
Ms. Gonzalez, how do you plan to improve the quality of life in Springfield?
Well, one of the issues that we have right now is the climate control. Right now, climate is one of the biggest issues that is going around in the whole United States, but it's not just our issue. Our issue is how we can help the homeless, how can we help our youth, how can we be sure that the streets are plowed correctly from the first time. I have seen many plows pass by, and believe me, unlike, my heart goes out to you because you work all night, but you should be closer to the curve. But that's not the problem. The problem is that we need to have a solution for all these problems that we have. And sometimes solutions are so easy as just go and lend a hand. We need community places for homeless. We need community for the kids to go and play, to have somewhere. We live in Winterland.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
My mission statement is helping people keep pace with a growing economy and community. The problem is that we have not had leadership that is doing this. If this city is suffering from a lack of leadership that brings significant change, even if our mayor cannot get to the citizens to hear their voices, there should be some kind of protocol that the citizens can get to their leader who they elected to help their community. It's kind of neat how the architect of the MGM studio is when the visitors just come off the highway, and the parking lots are strategically placed for them to just go into those parking lots. Yet the city and the residents in the neighborhoods are suffering, and economically They're suffering with being secure, with public safety and education. It is not right, it's not fair, and we need a leader, a mayor, that can get this job done, that it can grow with the economic development of MGM.
Thank you. For our final question, you will have 30 seconds to answer. Abandoned homes and absentee landlords are an issue the city deals with in the hundreds. With many landlords spread out not only across the state, but across the country, how do you plan to hold them accountable for taking care of the property? Mr. Sarcosta, we'll begin with you.
Well, I mean, there are ordinances that we have in the city. We have programs in the city that already exist, but they're not fully funded, they're not taken care of, and they're not motivated. We need to make sure that, particularly the foreclosure situation that we have with some of the banks, some of the blighted homes that we have, some of them that are city-owned, we need to ensure that the city takes full responsibility and that the mayor works with the city council to ensure that these homes that are in disrepair are either taken down or sold.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, 30 seconds.
Well, half of these houses, we need to find a way to either take them down, take over it. We have, when we take houses over because it hasn't been paid by the taxes, we can sell them. So we can continue doing that. We need more people looking at what is going around them.
Ms. Savage, how do you plan to deal with abandoned homes and absentee landlords?
One of the things on my agenda is revitalization of home ownership. I have been looking into the new markets tax credit. It is for, and I'm going to read it, as part of a bipartisan effort to stimulate investment and economic growth in low-income urban neighborhoods and rural communities that lack access to the patient capital needed to support and grow businesses, create jobs, and sustain healthy local economies. We have blighted houses all over our city. I will bring that credit to our city.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, 30 seconds.
We will be dealing with the blighted homes and the abandoned homes by making sure that we go after those people that own these homes directly. We will not wait for them. We will not tolerate this in our neighborhoods. We also will have to stop the predatory lending practices that are going on that is forcing people out of their homes. So we will provide programs and fundings to make sure that we clean up and revitalize our neighborhoods.
Thank you. That was the last round of our question and answer debate. Next, we'll hear our candidates' closing statements. 22 News will continue our Springfield mayoral debate leading up to the preliminary election on Tuesday, September 8th. You're watching a special edition of 22 News in Focus. Four candidates who want to become Springfield's next mayor are here in our 22 News studios. We've heard them discuss their plans and ideas of how to run this city. Now we'll move to closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute. Mr. Jones, you will go first.
Thank you for having us today this morning. What I would like to say is my name is Michael Jones and I am running as your mayor for the city of Springfield, Massachusetts, to bring us together, strengthening communities and building a world-class city. We are a city of homes, and what we need is someone that will represent our city in the way that will take care of our streets, one that knows who the problem is, one that knows where to go to help out the people that are in need of help. Our homes, our shelters, our security, and our safety and the education of our children are my focus. Bringing a healthy attitude, a healthy lifestyle, and a positive spin around the world to create a world-class city is why I am running for your mayor. On September 8th, please vote for one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Savage, you have 1 minute.
I'm Beverly Savage, your mayoral candidate, helping people keep pace with a growing economy and community. The issues that will be addressed under my administration are crime, revitalization of home ownership. I will have the first city youth council that will actually be a entity that youth will be able to advise the city council on the issues that concern them. I want to involve every citizen and resident to build the relationships in this city to address the issues together. I hope you vote for Beverly Savage as your mayor for September 8th.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, your closing statement.
My name is Ibelis Gonzalez. I'm running for mayor of Springfield, so is all these beautiful people around me. You choose who you want to vote for. I'm not telling you vote for me, you vote for who your heart desire and think that is going to do the job that is to work for you, not to work for me, because that's what you choose me for. You choose me to work for you, to be your mayor, your city council, the person that's going to be there for you at all times. We will improve our city if we work together. These lovely people that are here with me also, they are work for you. We all want to work for you together as a community.
Thank you. Mr. Sarcosta, you have 1 minute.
I love Springfield. I grew up in an outstanding city, in an outstanding neighborhood with family and friends all over. It hurts me to see what our city has become. Our kids are growing up in a city that they don't have the opportunities that I had and the other candidates have had and the current mayor has had. We had such great opportunities, and those opportunities are no longer available. Safe streets, good schools. What we need is a new approach in the city of Springfield, a new vision, someone with energy, someone with passion, someone with leadership skills. I hope and I pray humbly to receive your vote this Tuesday, September 8th, to be your next mayor of the city of Springfield, so together we can make Springfield great again. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank our candidates once again, Michael Jones, Sal Sarcosta, Ivelisse Gonzalez, and Beverly Savage. That completes our 22 News candidates debate for the Springfield Mayor preliminary election. Again, our thanks to the candidates for coming here to our 22 News studios to let our viewers know how you stand on the issues in your city. Mayor Sarno chose not to participate in this debate due to scheduling conflicts, and Johnny Ray McKnight could not attend due to health reasons. The preliminary election is this Tuesday, September 8th. The top 2 vote-getters will move on to the general election for mayor on Tuesday, November 3rd. And thank you for watching and caring to be a better informed voter. 22 News will bring you complete coverage of the primaries and on election night with up-to-the-minute results after the polls close, both here on 22 News and online at WWLP.com. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.